My wife refuses to accept our divorce. Now I think she's trying to trick me into making me think I don't want one. My wife, 29F, and I, 34 meters, have been married for 4 years, and up until a year and a half ago, things were fantastic. Our marriage began to deteriorate after there was a significant drop in doing it between us, not intimacy, just the actual banging part of the relationship. We would still cuddle and have deep intimate moments talking and just being around each other, but she kept rejecting my attempts at taking things further past kissing. Now we have had no problem communicating, so I made sure to address it early, and we talked and made adjustments. We both made sure to stay in shape, we tried being more adventurous, we went to couples therapy/counseling, and even tested both of our hormone levels. Everything was normal. Each solution would work for a little while and then we'd be back to pounding maybe once a month. I asked her several times if she was no longer attracted to me, to which she denied every time. I asked her if I was falling short in the relationship in any other way, to which she said no. Well, about a month ago, she gets back from her therapy session and tells me that she believes that she's apolipool and that's the reason for her libido being non-existent as of late. I was definitely confused because we had such great fun time for a while in the beginning of our relationship, but her telling me that she's now apolipool was heartbreaking because everything else is great. Obviously I'm not going to force her to do it, so we had a long conversation about our relationship and I came to the conclusion that we should get a divorce. I say because she immediately rejected the idea and said we would figure something out and wouldn't talk to me about it anymore. I didn't know what to say, so I dropped it. Well, 3 weeks go by, without it, and I decided that I have to do this for my own mental well-being, so I filed for divorce and had her served with the papers. Last week when I got home from work, she was going about the day like nothing was wrong. I asked her if she signed the papers and she flat out said we are not getting a divorce and changed the subject and acted like things were normal. Obviously I thought this was crazy, so I stopped her and said I couldn't be in a marriage devoid of pounding, and I mentioned that I was being incredibly fair with our divorce. She can keep the house that we bought and paid for with cash. She paid 1/3, I paid 2/3. I'd take all of the debt, which isn't much. We'd split our savings and investments in half, and she can keep 2 of our 3 paid off cars. I only wanted to keep my sports car. Thankfully we don't have kids. I love her and wanted her to be comfortable, and I have no problem starting over since I make a good income. But she won't budge or talk about the divorce. This brings us to 2 days ago. I get home and go to our bedroom and find my wife's friend, 27F, in our bed naked. I immediately shut the door, said sorry, and went looking for my wife. I found her in the kitchen and asked what her friend was doing here, and she said that she was here for me. I put 2 and 2 together and said that I'm not sleeping with other women in place of the woman I chose to marry. She was adamant on saying that I could sleep with her whenever I wanted and that her friend agreed to it. I couldn't believe things would get this far, so I went back to our bedroom and asked her friend to leave. I packed a bag and I've been staying in a hotel nearby since that night. My wife, her mother, and her sister keeps calling me, but I'm just not interested in hearing what they have to say. This feels like a trick. I just want this whole thing to be over. Does anyone have advice? Is this some kind of ploy for alimony? We do have a prenup? Should I just contact my lawyer and try and force the divorce? I'm really uncomfortable with this entire situation. Update, a few days later. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. I feel overwhelmed, so I probably won't bother with another update after this one. I don't know. My wife came to my hotel last night and we talked about everything. She told me the full truth and what's going on in her mind. A few of you commented this in the last post, so you were right. She has always been this way. She and her whole family has known this since she was 16. Apparently this is the reason why her last long-term relationship of 3 years ended. He broke up with her after the sleeping between them diminished to being non-existent after the first year. She told me that pounding is easier for her in the beginning when emotions are running high, but she still needs to force herself to have it. I knew they broke up due to irresolvable differences, but I didn't ask for details, nor did she tell me. After a lot of apologies and crying, she told me that I was the first person she was able to tolerate it with for so long and that she did enjoy it a handful of times, but after a while she still felt like she was being roped. I broke down after hearing this and started kicking myself for not catching on to any of this. She said she tried her best to please me as much as she could. She still doesn't want a divorce and she doesn't want the house, cars, or the savings. She just wants me and is ready to do whatever it takes to keep me. She even said that she would sign a postnup stating this. As for her friend, she was there during her last breakup and helped to support her through it. My wife went to her after I brought up divorce and talked things out. Her friend suggested that she open the relationship for me, but she said she didn't want me sleeping with strange women, so her friend volunteered herself to be the one that sleeps with me. My wife thought this was a great idea, which led to the fiasco at our house. I won't comment on her appearance because it doesn't matter, and I don't blame the friend. My lawyer got back to me, "You were all right. I don't need your permission, but I will have to wait if I want to push it through." I asked her why she lied to me this entire time, and she said she was tired of being rejected after revealing she was, so she convinced herself that she would be able to force herself to do it during the relationship. The hormone testing, the sessions in couples therapy, and all of our solutions was just her buying time to find another way around it or give herself enough time to build up the strength to start regularly having fun time with me again. Our conversation ended with us holding each other in bed crying for a couple of hours. No, we didn't do anything. She pleaded with me to hold off on the divorce to look for a solution together and left my hotel room. I'm now sitting alone typing this post. I guess I found out that we don't share everything with each other.